cool cache that was, you know, really fun. And then as you go along and you continue to hide, you can increase on that, and you can eventually get to the point where you could hide something quite a bit harder, and then people will respect it more than just when you start out and just, you know, throw something down in the middle of the woods. Terrain and difficulty ratings. It's a very subjective thing. As a finder, I usually don't look at them because to me it throws it off. I'm better off just having the coords, going out and looking for it. But when you do place your first hide, what I did was I think it was the farm team, and they had like maybe 3,000 finds or something at the time. I emailed them and I asked them, how was my difficulty and terrain rating? Was it appropriate? And because when you're first starting out, it's kind of hard to know what, you know, you should make it. So that would be my suggestion. Email someone who has a lot of finds. Ask them what they thought of your ratings, if they were accurate or not.
Cache in general. Ask people. Don't be afraid on your first cache. You know, a lot of people don't take the time to write a lot on your cache, which it doesn't mean they didn't necessarily like it, just because they put TFTC, just because they were in a hurry. So email people directly. You know, you got that little feature in Groundspeak there. Just what'd you think of this? Was it fun or whatever?
Yeah. One final point here is working with the reviewer. I know people who got frustrated when they tried to place hides and they submitted it to the reviewer, and the reviewer said, no, this is wrong with it, you're too close to another cat. And they started to get defensive and didn't like the feedback from the reviewer. Just like working with the park managers or the land managers, it's good to have a good relationship with the reviewer as well. It'll work in your favor in the future when you go to publish caches, that he knows you're respectful of him, he or she, and that you're working with them. And so it's an important thing.
Hiding places, just general rules. Stay away from property lines. Go ahead.
I had a question on the terrain ratings. Is there like a guideline anywhere where it says like 1 is like wheelchair accessible and then 1.5? There is like that in writing anywhere where?
So the question is, how do you know what to do? How do you know what to rate for difficulty in terrain? Yes, on the Groundspeak page, there is. I think if you click on DNT on the cache page, it will go to a place that shows you, in theory, how to rate caches. And a gentleman was asking, so, like, for example, is 1 like wheelchair accessible only? That is true. Let's just hit a couple of those high points. 1 in theory, 1 solid as opposed to 1.5. 1 is wheelchair accessible, and that, I guess, you look at it like this, the person's supposed to be able to have a pretty smooth, level surface, sort of hard. They should be able to reach it from a wheelchair. That's what a 1 is for terrain. They should be able to reach it while sitting. As opposed to 5 in terrain usually implies special equipment, whether that's a boat or whatever like that. And then everything else is semi-objective, I think, to a certain degree. Hiding places. Stay away from property lines and neighbors. You don't want to put like number 4 on here, dead ends not near houses. That's a great example. Don't get geocachers in trouble, and don't worry neighbors as to wondering why people are coming down their street where no one's ever come before, and then they're keep going to that sign or that tree. That's not very, your common sense tells you that's not a good thing to do, so don't do it. My dad and I got pulled over in Butler. Butler police don't have a lot to do. We got pulled over just a couple months ago. My dad, who's 75, and me, and we're like looking at it, and then this, you know, and the big ado about it. We're just geocache. He's like, okay, the neighbors called because you were, yeah, we know. And okay.
Yeah, I was just going to add, as far as the property lines.
I try to stay away from anything that is either hidden near the property line or hidden in an area where people have to or could possibly walk onto people's property to get to the cache. One other idea with that, if you are hiding something near someone's property and you think there might be an issue, go to that house before you hide it, ring the doorbell, and make the people aware that you're going to hide something there. That will, you know, when they see cars coming or people looking around, they'll know what it is. And if they kind of frown on it, or like, oh, I don't know if I like, then just don't hide it there. There are plenty of dead ends that are areas where there aren't houses, and it's not an issue. I learned this the hard way. I've had 2 caches I put on dead ends where the police were called, and I immediately archived them and moved them, so you can do that as well. It's just something to keep in mind.
So, this is one of my favorites. Is the environment fragile? In public parks and stuff, some people, new caches are tempted to put their cache in like in a flower bed or some shrubs in a nice bed, or in like cedar trees. Cedars are a very common tree. They get very fragile and very brittle, the branches do in the winter, and it is so easy for people. I've seen it over and over again, where the park cedar tree is just because the cache is in there, the branches are just like, the tree is demolished. So think about that, where you put the cache. Don't put it in a flower bed or bushes where geocachers have to go running through there over the mulch and the flowers and everything like that. And consider the neighboring homes. I generally don't hide caches anymore where the neighbors can see or there's some suspicion. Sometimes it's easy to do. You can be by a neighbor's house sort of, but you're away, and you put the cache on the other side of the pine trees or where the neighbors really can't see too much and the geocacher's a little bit sheltered. That's another little trick you can do.
I was just going to add,
as far as the vulnerable area, this is another thing I learned the hard way, is I hit a hard cache in a dead, rotten tree. And if it's a hard cache, what'll almost always happen is people will just tear up the area, tear up the dead tree, your cache will fall on the ground, be lost. Consider where you're placing the cache. If it's an easy one, fine. If it's something harder, if you're putting like a nano or something small into a dead log, think ahead of time of what's going to happen to that area. It's probably going to get torn up if it's hard, so and you're going to have to rehide it. So consider that ahead of time. Part of the theme of what we're talking about is taking your time when you place the hide. That's one of the things. If you just run out there and throw it in the tree, think ahead of time of what the cacher's experience is going to be, how they're going to go about looking for it. It all will help you in the long run. Yes, if it's in an area especially where it looks like there's animal activity, hollow tree or something like that, or there's nuts in the ground where squirrels are, you might want to tie it on, wire it on. Again, it'll help it from being muggled. A lot of caches are actually animal muggled. And one funny story with that, one of the first caches I hit was wake up and smell the coffee in Brookfield. And one of the first people to go out there and find it was the farm team. And when they approached the area where the cache was hidden, there was a raccoon actually holding the small coffee can in his hands. And so they had a stare down with him. They both looked at each other for a couple of minutes. And finally the raccoon dropped the container on the ground and left. And they went and signed the log, and they posted the story. So I went out there the next day to I was going to replace it with a larger container or wire it on or something like that. And when I got to ground zero, the raccoon was dead. So that became a legendary cache. It would be the cache turned into people named the raccoon Ricky, and I had to change the cache name to Wake Up and Smell Ricky or something to that effect, because he was laying there dead for a while and there was a smell, so it was kind of funny.
That was your cache?
Yeah, that was Martin's cache. So all these rodents and vermin, they smell even the smallest morsel or molecule of food that's left in your coffee or peanut butter or other food container, and that's what draws them essentially. It's not like they want to see what's in the geocache. They smell, they think it might be food related, so they tear into it or move it away. The next point, cache theme, we hit on it just a little bit earlier. When you do like big series, for example, if you get anything from this slide, I want you to get this. Please, when you name series, don't say Star Wars #1, Star Wars #2, Star Wars #3. Most people's GPSs in the field find that really hard to deal with. You should give your cache unique names, and that's why, like for the Star Wars series, we have C-3PO or R2-D2 or Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader. We can put the term Star Wars in it, even though that's the theme. Give your caches unique names. At least the first part of the name should be unique. You should put Luke Skywalker, then Star Wars, the repetitive word at the end, because a lot of GPSs only show 16 characters, and that's pretty darn annoying when you're in the field and you see you know, the name over and over, and you're like, did we just go to that one or not? Or, you know, I can't remember. And so unique names. And as far as cache themes go, that's pretty self-explanatory. Like I just did this Nike series all over the greater Milwaukee area. Pretty self-explanatory. I wasn't able to find missile-type caches, but the theme of it is that all these different sites to take people around for the history. So that kind of glues the whole series together. Martin loves to like create scenes with his caches. He'll put a story behind it, how the cat, you know, to kind of give as a hint or to kind of make the cache special. And so there you go.
I just
Go
wanted
ahead.
To add on that, the whole theme thing, I think that's kind of what makes some of our caches unique. We have some of the caches up here as an example, like the Woodstock cache here we used. It's something. It's something that will. You know, years from now, people will look at, oh, Woodstock, I remember that. They'll remember it because of the container.
I went on eBay. eBay is one of our favorite shopping places, and for $3, I got this little plastic Woodstock, and everybody loved this cache, so everybody absolutely remembered it. And it wasn't a hard cache to find, obviously. I had to hide it from Muggle kids. The cache was just hanging below, but everybody loved him so much.
Yeah, it's everything together. It's the cache name, the write-up, the container, the area you hide it. If everything ties together into one theme, that's the thing that makes it unique. That's the thing that makes people remember it. Once you determine what your cache theme is going to be, then you can go around and look for objects that will fit that theme that you could use as either the actual container, or what I like to do sometimes is put something that's representative of the theme, and then hide the container right near it at the same time.
So we can get all the rest of this in under the timeline. Containers. Make your cache maintenance minimal as possible by using good containers. I like Martin's caches a lot. I have to say something though, the coffee containers he was using, the plastic ones, were notoriously leaky. Great containers, good size, but they leaked, I'm sorry. And ammo boxes are awesome, but they are a little costly. But peanut butter containers are my favorite. They got screw lids and they kind of self-seal. So think about using those types of containers because they'll make your cache maintenance nice and easy. And people, who wants to find a wet, stinky, musty cache that's all wet? No one. Walk through stores like Fleet Farm and Science Surplus. Right now, Science Surplus, I just grabbed this off the shelf this week. $2 for this awesome container. It has a screw lid and a seal in it. $2 for that regular size container. That's awesome. I mean, you can't even, it's way better than a peanut butter container.
these things are a buck at Walmart. I get a ton of those.
Yeah, the matchstick container, I would way use this over a film container any day of the week. It has a rubber ring on it, screw seal. This will last for a century without getting wet. eBay, like we said, garage sales. My wife just picked me up a bag of cash swag, all those little McDonald's and Burger King toys yesterday for like $3. She came back with this big bag over several yard sales. And so most of the stuff is still in its little plastic original bag seal too. Because people get that stuff and then their kids don't look at it and it ends up in a box or bag. And this is only part of my collection of cache containers and the paraphernalia I have in my basement. So get yourself, just collect things as you go. When you go to yard sales, throw them in a box in the basement. At some point, ingenuity will strike you and you'll be like, oh, I can use that crazy Scooby-Doo lunchbox I got. I can put them in a log somewhere because you wouldn't want to put this just out anywhere because it's going to rust and get nasty. You have to put it in either an ammo box or like in a log where it'll stay dry or something like that. People love like lunchbox containers. They're awesome. Yeah, hide ideas. Don't be afraid to recycle ideas that you picked up elsewhere. Having said that, I don't want to steal Martin's idea that's, in the same city or the next city over. Like once you cache, you go to different areas, recycle from different areas just for the fun of it to bring your